We say what they can't radio.
What's up, world? Welcome to another episode of Young Gifted and Black. I am on episode 20, and I'm extremely grateful and blessed for that. Tonight, I have some amazing people. Normally, I introduce people, and then I tell them to introduce themselves. I'm trying to get better with this, so I'm going to introduce my guests, and we're going to start with the ladies first.
Hi, my name is Shinuah.
What do you do? Tell them a little bit about yourself.
I am a vocalist, a creative, and I bartend.
Absolutely. One of my dopest friends. Her voice is divine, and I'm always motivating and letting her know to keep pushing, and that her opportunity is coming. And I'm extremely grateful that she found time to be a guest today. Next up.
Yo, my name's Muchael Thompson.
And Muchael Thompson, what do you do for a living?
I run the Brooklyn Moon.
Okay, that's my man. You know, it's crazy. I love to meet people organically. And one day I was at the Brooklyn Moon. I think maybe because Shinuah had hit me and asked me to purchase one of my sweatshirts. She's one of my consistent supporters, and I appreciate her. So I came, I dropped the sweatshirt off. So let me have a drink real quick. And end up talking with Michael, and one of his friends ended up buying the sweatshirt, and then one of their friends ended up buying the sweatshirt. But the type of conversation that we had was organic, where his number ended up in my phone, and I ended up texting him. And since that day, you know, you have been one of my, I would say, interesting, new friends because of your frequency and how you think, and just that you're so open. I meet a lot of people that's older than me, and they're not really always willing to share the information. You're busy, you have things to do, but if I text you, if I call you, or if I ask you a question, you're willing to answer me, or you're willing to give time, and I appreciate that. So I want to let you know that. Thanks for coming today.
My pleasure.
And my brother over here, introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Brennan, but most people call me Squeak. I'm a poet, I'm a recording artist, and from 9 to 5, I actually help women that are victims of domestic violence find new housing.
That's beautiful. I knew Squeak / Brennan since I was about, maybe 11. 12 years old, so he really got to watch me mature and evolve into the man that I am today. So I'm extremely grateful for that. We're gonna have a great episode. I got one more guest, my man Curt, man, aka Flight Time, man. It's my man, second time on Young Gifted and Black. I really appreciate you for coming, man. You want to take your coat off, get comfortable, man? Get comfortable real quick. So I got some beautiful spirits tonight, man, and they all are active within their communities. Everybody at this table is working diligently to bring their dreams to life. And if they have brought their dreams to life, they're working diligently to maintain their dreams. So I'm extremely grateful to have these guests tonight. So we're gonna talk about something would probably be a little controversial to most people. And I really try to refrain from talking about religion and things of that nature, but it's just been pegging me the wrong way lately. So I say, I want to have a conversation. So today, the name of this episode is You Don't Need to Be Saved. It's time that we save ourselves. And I feel that people of color have forgotten who they are. And I don't just mean like within the last 500 years. I'm talking about like a millennia. I'm talking about go back a million years. I think that the strategic gameplay of the oppressor is to get as many people of color as possible to forget, because how do you kill gods? You get them to kill themselves, right? So you create all of these distractive mechanisms. You create all of these distractive and diabolical systems, and you just let them play out, right? But it's time that we get back to waking up. See, this is why I make close with sayings like wake up, because I am sending a message to my people to say that it's time that we get back to our greatness. It's time that we remember who we are. And in order for us to do that, we have to rectify where we're going wrong at, and we have to get rid of it. And I think that a lot of us think that we could live in, it's like, I don't know if you ever saw The Matrix. How many people at this table saw The Matrix before?
A zillion times.
Okay, in The Matrix, there were people that was persistent, like Morpheus, like we gonna make this happen. You know what I'm saying? We gonna save Zion, right? And it was people like my man that betrayed them, and the bullhead guy, Cypher. it was people like him that was like, yo, I betray everybody at this table as long as you give me a seat in the illusionary world, right?
Yeah.
And in this day and age, we have billions of people that look like us that said, you know what? I know this seems fishy. I know something about this seems off, but I'm comfortable living in the illusion. And we're never gonna, if you can't get to paradise in this dimension, you're not gonna get to it in the next. So if you can't find peace here, you won't find peace in the afterlife. It doesn't work like that. So we're gonna start off, right? My first question of the day is, do you think that modern day religion is helping or hindering people of color? And when I say modern day religion, for example, I'm thinking about, let's say, Christianity, right? So ladies first, what do you think?
Well, I grew up going to church, but it's some things that I don't agree with. I mean, I have friends that I feel like there's a lot of judgment there. So you're not getting to like really get to know certain type of people or different things because of what the religion has taught you or what you have taken from it. So I do feel like it does hinder us, yes.
Thank you so much for answering that. What about you, Michael?
Man, that's how they got us with religion, you know. You can't have religion without history. So they keep us away from the history, and that's where the truth lies. You can't change history. You can switch your religions up every time. You're always revising Christianity or the Hebrew religion or whatever, you know. So that's the separator, number one. It separates you into groups. It's to control you. It's usual. It started off as political groups, and like, this is my crew. I'm the Jews, I'm the Christians. But we have been destroyed as a people by Christianity, and that's a fact. And this person they're praying to them, Jesus, his name is Serapis. That was a bust made of from Alexander the Great's
Nephew, I think.
friend, is this boy. And when they conquered the island, let me see, Alexander the Greek, not the Great. There was nothing great about him. Matter of fact, I don't even believe the story. If you read all the shit he was doing, I mean, come on, man.
Fantastic.
And then at 32 he dies. How Masonic is that, huh? You know, so anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, we've been separated and destroyed by Christianity. They put images there that's not us. They switched the story around. We've been so fooled that for us to act normal, like this is normal behavior, waking up, is being looked up, down upon, but this is the age of Aquarius. It's a new age. Everything is changing. Notice how the weather's staying warmer longer. Everything is changing. So this has to change. It's like, where are you going to be when it does? You know?
I agree.
So I suggest you let go of religion, study where this so-called Jesus came from, because I know, and I'm sitting here and tell you, it's up to you to find out for yourself.
Absolutely.
You know.
Thank you so much for answering that question. What about you, Curt? What's your stance on? Do you feel like modern day religion is helping or hindering people of color?
Definitely a hindrance. Definitely a hindrance to me.
Okay.
You know, I can't speak for everybody else, but to me, I definitely feel as though it's a hindrance because now it's more so, like even in the church, they becoming clout chasers. You got millions of videos of things going on in the church where this was supposed to be, you know, our grandmothers, our mothers' sacred place to, you know, be at peace or fight their demons, whatever they may have going on. But now it's like a shit show.
Absolutely.
So I feel as though it's definitely becoming a hindrance. And as the brother said, you just got to find out for yourself.
Absolutely.
I don't want to deter anybody from their beliefs and what may make them happy.
Absolutely. I agree. Brendan, what's your perspective on it?
I'm going to give a different kind of answer because I'm a little bit ambivalent about it. I think that it works both ways. Because on one hand, I like the fact of encouraging people to follow their spirit or to increase the energy of their spirit. But at the same time, church itself, the building, the body of the people, it kind of doesn't allow you to be. It's like almost like saying you have to come perfect in order to fit in.
Absolutely.
And if I came perfect, then I wouldn't need to come here. So it's like where's the middle ground for everybody? And it seems sometimes as if, and we know this for a fact, that people have been using religion for centuries as a system of control. And now it doesn't feel like it's trying to encourage you to be better. It feels like it's trying to squash your spirit or keep you trapped in. Like, for example, I was talking to a lady that is very heavy in her church, and I was telling her something that I was going through, and she kept telling me to pray. And I kept saying to her, like, man, I grew up understanding, church from a Jehovah's Witness standpoint. And one thing I did realize was that everybody that God gave a job in that book didn't pray. They all had to get out there and go to work. So while you sit here telling me to pray it away, I'm missing the opportunity to work myself into a better situation. And why would you tell me to not do the work that I needed to and to depend on something magical that may never happen for me? And she didn't get where I was coming from, because she was trying to, I guess, say like I was some type of atheist or some shit like that. Because she wasn't getting that. Like, I'm like, no, like when he told Noah to build a boat, like, I will save you if you build the ark. And then I turned to her and said, have you ever tried to catch 2 mice? He had to catch 2 of every damn animal. He gave him the hardest job, and he had to do the work in order to get the benefit. So why are you telling me to not do the work and just sit around on my hands and knees praying for something to happen? And I felt like that was the most oppressive thing that she could tell me.
I appreciate you for sharing that, and I agree with a lot of everybody's perspectives and stances on it. My palms are sweating because this is just tricky for me, right? But this is my stance on it, right? People of color don't need to be saved, right? Why there are all these different mechanisms and distractions to get you to believe in a God versus believing in yourself, because they want to distract you from who you are. And when I say they, I'm talking about that oppressive system. We are gods, right? So our women of color are gods. They breed any ethnicity of women, of any ethnicity known to man on this planet, a woman of color can breed, right? We are the first people that came here, will be the last. We created architects, we created civilizations, we created math, we created so many different things that we didn't get, the credit for because of the 500 years of slavery. But I think that 500 years of slavery, that gap, has only forced millions and billions of people to forget who they are, right? And I think that if you will go back further, see, Christianity is only 5,000 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's fair. You put 5,000. What would you rather? Would somebody, if I offered you 5,000 or 1 million, what would you take?
I take the million.
Yeah.
But so many of our people is taking the 5,000. So many of our people is taking the 5,000 because they're being convinced that they can be saved. But at the end of the day, we came here to do the saving. We came here to kind of, when we do better, when people of color are at their best, every ethnicity, everybody around us are at their best. When we push through, it changes the world. And I think that the oppressive system understands that. That's why poverty and religion and broken school structures and police brutality, it's all a mechanism so that you won't remember. And for the people that remember, they feel like the odds is stacked against them. But at the end of the day, I, as an individual, right, I know that I don't need to be saved. I know the God in me. So I call God the Most High, right? It's nothing above it or next and nothing below it. It's not a gender. It's not a male or a woman. The energy is just too immaculate and divine for it to be classified as anything. That energy is inside of me. I don't need a middleman to get to that God or our God or the creator, right? I go directly to the source. That's what meditation is for. That's what spirituality is for. It's working on yourself. It's going deep within inside yourself until you find the God that you are looking for. And I think a lot of us think that when we look outside of ourselves for God, that we're going to get a better outcome. But all that does is take away your accountability. Nobody can save you from the energy that you disperse into the universe. So if you're a bad person doing bad things, Jesus, Muhammad, there's no saviors for you. The universe is going to give you directly back what you put out there, whether in this lifetime or the next. So if you want to be saved, then I suggest that you live a good life. I suggest that you do good by people. I suggest that you make sure that you're genuine and you mean it and you love people unconditionally so that energy will come back to you. See, the idea that somebody can save you from your sins is diabolical because you convince millions of people to think that they can get away with the energy they disperse. Like, oh, I just killed this person because of the color of his skin, but Jesus is going to save me. No, nobody's going to save you from that energy. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to go on a tangent, right? So we all got that first question off. Second question, do you think that Christianity was forced on people of color 500 years ago, or was it around the same time we were being turned into slaves?
Christianity started the Coptic Church, and once the Alexander defeated Kemet. I like to say also that what people believe to be Egypt is not Egypt. Only started after Alexander. They renamed it. It was called Kem. But prior to Kem, those pyramids and stuff, all that technology is Atlantean.
It's Atlantis.
Atlantis and Lemuria.
Absolutely.
All right, so y'all can look into that too, you know. But the Christian church started with the Coptics, the Greeks, you know, that they took the science, because if you read the Book of the Dead, the Book of Coming Forth by Day.
Oh, sorry. I read that question wrong when I said, because I added that last part. Do you think that Christianity was forced on people of color 500 years ago? That was the only part of the question.
Yeah.
And thank you for answering that question. What about you?
I don't.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Okay. We'll get back to you. What about you?
I think it was a form of control.
Absolutely.
I believe that, you know, I hate to compare it to this day and age, but at the same token, it's like now. Everybody was just in an uproar. Oh, Kanye came out of the hospital and ran with Donald Trump. Now he's having Sunday services and making albums. Jesus is, oh man.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was a form of control. And then, you know, they used the perfect ones to control it. The ones that, like you say, they sit around, they sit amongst us, and they say, oh, I get over on everybody at this table in order to be where I want to be. And I feel like that's what's occurring at this point in time. I watched, I listened, and it's like, damn, this dude is really one of them.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely feel like it was false.
I appreciate that answer.
I love Kanye, by the way, but I believe the brother's going through some things, but he's definitely said some smart things over the time. It's just that it gets buried with the dumb shit that he says.
Yeah.
But I totally believe that it was forced upon people 500 years ago. And part of how I do study some of that stuff, but part of how I do realize that is what I realize what they did for many of the people that were here and the slaves that they brought here, because there is a misunderstanding about how the triangular trade happened in America. But we'll get into that some other time. And what they did was they brought people and corrupted their system of spirituality, which wasn't necessarily religion. It wasn't Christianity or Catholicism or Judaism. It was just spirituality, not a name of a god. It was my connection to everything else that is a higher power of me. I can't control the trees, but it still grows. And they corrupted that and said, no, we're the leaders and this is what you should believe. And they used that to keep everybody down. And while everybody was working in the fields, being slaves in the house, wherever else, they would tell you, like, this is your hope to get out. So you use this for hope. Pretty much the same thing you said earlier. It's not going to do anything for you, but we're going to keep feeding you this as the hope so that you keep on staying stuck with the distraction rather than doing the work that you need to do to get yourself free.
Absolutely. I agree. And to answer the question myself, it was forced upon us 500 years ago. And the Africans, and for one, it's like a misconception, right? Because a lot of people of color, we're all African from from when it
Even white
started, but a
people are
lot of
African.
people of color are Native American. A lot of our families, there was a stretch where Africa, and you could go straight from Africa back to America, and there were so many different people that migrated, and a lot of our families, because of the distortion, because of the way history panned out for us, a lot of us think that we all came from Africa, but a lot of us was right here on this hemisphere in this part, and we just don't know what our tribe is or who we're necessarily connected to, because that was the plan. Like, we're gonna take these people of color from over here, we're gonna put them over here, and we're gonna strip their names and we're gonna strip their history, and by the time they figure it out, it's gonna be too late. So everybody's like, yo, I'm just straight African, I'm from this African tribe, but not necessarily, because if I trace my great grandmother's family tree, it goes back to South Carolina, and you go further, it's more on this, it's in America, whatever. Before it was the United States of America, is in this place where my family were derived from. You know what I'm saying? So I think that this is all happening, right? Because they forced religion and Jesus and Christianity on people of color, as you said, because it was a form of control. It was either you were to, because the church sanctioned slavery, right? If we're going to talk about it, because all white people at the time was like, whoa, like, you sure y'all want to do this? Like, and they was like, look, this the Bible. Like, they went into the Bible and found whatever scriptures, and then it was like, oh, the Bible was like, oh, okay, so that's okay. And then so many of us got hung and died off the rage of a misunderstanding and negative energy. And I think that we decided to just focus on that 500 years. Like, what about what came before that? What were our ancestors, whether you Native American or African, what were they connecting to? What were they reading? We need to get back to that space. We need to go back and find our history. And the best way to do it is just starting to inquire, starting to have a passion of just wanting to know who you are. It could start off with a book. It could start off with you asking your parents, yo, what was my great grandmother's name? And you take that information and you find where you came from, and you do your research on what your ancestors was connecting themselves to. Where did they find God at? Where did they find their spirituality at? Because this is not working. As you can see, in the 500 years of us connecting ourselves with Jesus and God saving us and coming down with his hand, as you say, right? Because also what religion does, it puts a stereotype on women. Because what does Christianity teach you? That Eve convinced Adam to eat the apple, and after he ate the apple, then everything went downhill from there. So what does that say about women, right? Because they say that the woman was created out the rib. So why don't men create babies? That doesn't even make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't work like that.
That story doesn't make sense, because even when you read the Bible, there's actually two stories of creation in Genesis. The first one says that the woman was made from the dust. Then it said that because she wanted free will, so she ended up running off. That was the Lilith in the field story that they always try to tell you. And then it caused Adam to fall asleep and remove the rib and created another person. But they always focus on that story, the Genesis, I think, 121 story rather than the 111 story that actually says something else actually happened. So
I think
that's
that
always weird.
We're never going to find what we're looking for with his story, right? They say history is his story, right? Anything that's man-made can be put in a position where you could challenge it, right? Mm-hmm. You have a subjective point of view. I say man-made stuff is subjective, and the divine and the God-made stuff is objective. It's good for everybody, right? Man-made stuff, you got to be very careful. And everything in religion was man-made. The Bible was man-made. Constantine, it was like a group of people that sat down and put what they wanted to put in there, whether it be stories or not. It didn't come directly from God. So if you want God, you got to look inside yourself, because if you're trying to go through man, as you can see, man hasn't been the best entity since people have been in existence. Human beings make a lot of mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And if you focus on the mistakes, you're only going to lead yourself into misery. So let's get to the next question, right? What is your spiritual understanding? In other words, how do you connect with God? I would start off by saying that I connect with God by looking inside of myself. Like books have helped me, people have helped me, but the best way I've connected with God is going deep inside myself and finding I found God inside of me. I found God in my breath and the glow that gives me light and the unconditional love in my spirit. I found God inside my spirit and my soul. So I never needed a middleman, not an individual, not a book. I went directly to the source.
Well, again, I grew up going to church. My parents, they had us in the church all the time, so I always like prayed and called on Jesus. And as an adult, now I find myself hesitating the name, and I feel guilty because I was raised a certain way. And then now, like my parents, well, my father, he doesn't believe in the same things that he's taught us as a child. So sometimes I do feel lost, but I still call on his name because I feel like it gets me through certain things. I don't really go to the church, but I find myself like maybe watching something or listen to gospel or something like that to connect with him and just prayer. So
Absolutely.
that's just
Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I connect through several ways. Prayer can be mental, physical, meditation. And prayer can be physical, like you building the ark. You pray on this, and you constantly working before you know it. Your dream came true, right? Through that way, through dreams, and through raising up my community.
Absolutely.
Because there's nothing else. If it's just you, like you have nothing.
I agree. Thank you for answering that, Michael. What about you, Kurt?
You know, like basically like everyone else said. Well, I really connect with through myself as far as the work that I put out and um the work that I put out, the work that I put in, whatever the case may be, is like that's where I connect.
Absolutely.
I feel as though what I put out there, like you stated, is what I'm gonna receive in return. It's like I
Absolutely.
put that out there. I worked hard. I should receive these things
Absolutely.
due to the fact that I didn't get down and beg nobody or look to a false prophet to say, "Oh, this is gonna come if you do this." You know, I
Absolutely.
look into myself and I feel like, "Oh, if I do this work, this is gonna come to fruition."
Absolutely. Thank you. That was a great perspective. I appreciate you for sharing.
For me, I don't know if I do. I feel like every piece of divine energy that flows through me, I'm trying to give it away. Um, if because everybody doesn't get those same feelings. Everybody doesn't wake up in the morning and say, "I want to do something that builds the community. I want to do something that means something to someone else." You kind of minimize yourself in that connection. So I don't know where I fit in that connection anymore at this time now because I realize that everything has to be paid forward. I have to give that same energy that was given to me, the same mentorship, the same education, the same resources that was given to me. I have to give it away. I can't keep it to myself. Absolutely. So even if it's just a piece of divine energy, a piece of divine understanding, I got to get that shit to somebody else that can use it.
Absolutely. I thank you for sharing that. I think that I guess like I said, the best way to find God or to find the Most High is looking within yourself. They say that the new illiterate of the 21st century are no longer people that can't read or write. It's people that can't learn and unlearn, right? And I think that we have to remember as people of color, we were created from the universe, from stardust. We were created from the sun. That's why the melanin powers us. We were borrowed from the air and from, all the different entities that exist, the dirt, like that's how we borrowed this. But our consciousness and our spirits and our spirits and our souls, are divine, right? So if you're looking for God, if you wanna, this is my thing, right? If I had to pray to God and ask God for certain things, then I don't want to pray to that God because then there's something off about that to me, right? Because as a parent right now, my goal is not to make sure that my child is dependent upon me. all the time. As a child, yes. But by the time she's 18, she's going to be dependent upon herself. I'm going to give her the tools so that she could go out there and get water on her own. So you're telling me that our creator put us in a position where when we need things, we have to get on our knees and pray for it? That doesn't make any sense. Let's
That's
go
crippling.
back to a millennia. Let's go back to who we are. We have the ability to manifest. So when you get on your knees and pray, it's kind of like meditating. And if you're not getting what you asked for, it's not that God isn't giving it to you. The universe is wanting to see what you're going to manifest. Manifesting requires time and energy and patience, and you have to give the universe the same energy that you're asking for. It's not a matter of God reaching their hand down like, yo, I grant you this prayer and you're going to get $1 million. No, the person that go out there and work their ass off and is diligent and fearless and believe in themselves under all circumstances and connect to that divine energy is going to manifest $1 million. Read The Alchemist. Study what's inside of you. God doesn't grant wishes. This is not a genie here. There's no trade-off. There's no banker system like, yo, give me 10% of your pay and I'm gonna triple it. What? That sounds like a banker. That sounds like Wall Street. God gave us the ability and the tools to manifest anything. So if you don't believe me, go out and watch your favorite movie star. Go out there and watch Michael Jordan or LeBron James or Maya Angelou or Harriet Tubman or Malcolm X or whoever you could come up with and see how they did it. They didn't just do it by praying for it. They did it by action. Martin Luther King ain't get the civil rights movement accomplished by just, praying for it. He had to connect himself and he had to do the work. We got to get back to doing the work. There's nobody going to grant us wishes. Nobody coming to save us. We got to save ourselves. So the next question is, do you think that modern day religion is worse than slavery and Jim Crow?
I think it's the same thing.
Okay.
It's all the same thing. I mean, anything that actually the mental enslavement is worse than the physical.
That's a fact.
Way worse. And it's all mental. So.
Okay. That's a great answer.
I was gonna say something similar. I definitely feel like it's worse because you could see Jim Crow. You could feel Jim Crow. A lot of the times people don't realize the chain that religion has on their head.
Absolutely.
So they walk around thinking like, oh, I'm free in this religion and don't even realize that it's another trap inside of another trap. And then you wake up one morning and go, I've been spending all my time, my life, my money, my energy to do this. People sit in churches forever spending money. And as I walked here, we walked past about 10 churches. And I'm like, when do these churches even do anything for this community except take the money out of this community, put it into a white bank who loans the money to another person who comes back and buys your ass out of this community and then kicks you out. And I'm like, so basically you're helping to hurt our community more than you're helping to build our community. And then keeping everybody's mind and, oh, well, it's a God thing rather than saying we need to take care of each other and ourselves.
I agree.
I would have said the opposite, but listening to these guys, like, I look at it. I'm looking at it different,
Absolutely.
and I'm learning.
I have a question though. What religion is God?
I don't think that any religion is God.
That's right.
I think religion is a system. I think God is something, like I keep saying, that's inside of you. Or you find God in nature. You find God like in individuals. You know what I'm saying? You find devils in individuals, right? Like, to me, heaven is a mindset. Not to say that it's not a paradise in another dimension. But if you can't master that mindset and that peace here, because, another reason why a lot of people of color are not getting what they want is because they lost their peace. A lot of that is because of the 500 years of slavery, and people, like, in order for you to manifest and use your spirit and your soul to manifest a reality, you have to be able to be at peace. That's the nirvana that is required for you to manifest. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're not at peace, if you don't have your peace, then you're not going to be able to manifest. It's going to be something blocking it. It's like a woman that got long hair and she don't never like clog her drains. Eventually, the water's going to build up. And no matter what you feel, like, I just wish that this water wouldn't be here. Until you clear the drainage, there's not going to be a clear space for that energy to move. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that this, where we're at right now spiritually, I think that modern day religion is worse than slavery because, like you said, you could see it, but when you put a spiritual block on your spirit and your soul, you stop yourself from manifesting. That's why so many people in poverty. That's why so many people dying. That's why so many people depressed because they're not able to manifest. And they're like, yo, why is God not helping me? Because God gave you the tools, but man convinced you that God was going to grant you the things if you lived a certain life. But that's just based upon the energy you put out there. You ain't got to go to church for that. You put it out there, you're gonna get it back, whether now or later or in another lifetime. That's just how the game go. So my thing is that our people right now, because it goes into the next question. What do you think would happen if people of color put the same energy that they put into church every Sunday? Church within itself is a billion, $1 trillion industry. These people go to church on Sunday for a couple hours, they give their donations, and at the end of the day, the community is still the way it is. Imagine if people of color had that same mindset and we were going into a place where we all had a spiritual understanding and we donated money into a fund where we could change our communities, where we could build our schools, where we could put programs for financial literacy and cultural competence, where we could fix our parks, where we could create this gentrified community that we're looking at that we're not a part of. Imagine what we could do if we stop putting our energy into waiting for the wish to come true and actually making the reality. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's two, it's like your conscious and your subconscious. Or it's like your self-esteem or your self-worth. It's like where you are and where you could be, right? It's like we just keep focusing on where we could be instead of actually taking the steps to get to where we want to be. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So what do y'all think about that?
I feel like it would build up a lot of people, period, their the way they think, children, people opening up more businesses. I think that yeah, I just felt like it would make us a little more confident
Absolutely.
with who we are.
And Shina, it feels like this conversation is like making you just a little bit uncomfortable, and I really do appreciate that. Not to say that in a bad way, but uncomfortability it creates growth, and you don't grow in your comfort zone. You grow outside of it, right? So the fact that you're getting uncomfortable is the moment. Is that we all been at this table where you make a shift because I created my company, right? Cool for Life, to create a shift of consciousness for young people in this generation, right? And why I want to shift their consciousness because I realize the frequency that they have our people on, we will never get to the outcome where we want to be because we are allowing them to write our story for us. And until you take control and become the narrator of your own story, it will continue being written for you, whether it be on the news or the schools, whether it be police brutality, whether you look out your window. Until we take back control over our realities, we will continue to see the things that we see. So we got to get away from the illusion. We got to get away from the idea that somebody's coming to save us or God is a genie. We have to get back to the place where we realize that our Creator gave us the tools and we need to respect each other, love each other unconditionally, and we need to get back to manifesting our realities just like our ancestors did when they created civilization. Just like our ancestors did to get us here. We need to get back to that mindset. We need to start thinking like creators, like gods, like people that can manifest whatever reality that they want to be in as long as they believe so. Because the problem is a lot of our people are being taught to believe that they can't control their narrative, right? That's what Jesus does. That's what any entity does that says that if you do this, that, and the third, I can save you or I can grant you this. That takes away your accountability because you can manifest all of those things on your own accord. So you don't need a middleman to get to your success. You don't need a middleman to get to that family you want. You don't need a middleman to get to that dream that you want to accomplish. You need to dig deep inside yourself. And this is why I can connect with a religion like Hinduism or Buddhism, right? Although I don't connect with any religions, I connect with those because it's not about being saved or a particular God granting you anything. It's about you taking that spiritual journey. And you got to look deep inside yourself to even get there, right? I'm sorry, y'all. Normally, I don't do this much talking.
Nah,
but
we
I'm
understand
feeling
you're passionate about it.
Next question. Oh, I'm
To
sorry.
answer the
Go ahead.
question, though,
Sorry about that.
I don't say if. I know that when in this country, in this particular country that we did that, what we had was the Durham, North Carolinas, the Tulsa, Oklahomas.
Absolutely.
We had growing economies that other people wanted a part of enough to kill us for. And that's what I think would happen if we took the time away from those spaces and put it back into ourselves, even though historically, if we go back to those times, churches were the safe haven for those things to happen. But within tax time and politics and them corrupting the churches, because I don't know if many people know that, I'm sure some people around the table know that, but church was like the epicenter of the black movement. And what they did was they came and gave money to these churches and said, listen, we'll fund your church, we'll keep the building standing, we'll do all this stuff, but all that other stuff that y'all do can't happen here. And they pushed everybody else into the street, and then they weren't able to go into the church anymore and have that be their safe haven where they built with the community. You got with the people who had the spiritual resources. You got with the people who had the street resources. You got with the people who had the business resources, and they all met there. And that got taken away when they moved in.
And that's why I believe that certain things will never transpire. I believe that we too far gone. For the simple fact that, like you said, you got this church that's been accumulating money from parents, grandparents for 50, 60, 70 some odd years. And it's like that money, like you said, is being funded to their projects. Yeah. It's not funded none of our projects. Yeah. We're not out here building condominiums and placing all blacks in there. No. My grandmother is 74, I believe. She lived on Gates Avenue for maybe 50, 55 years. And they build a condo on Gates Avenue right here? It's like, damn. So all of this money that y'all was funding these churches and actually going on a regular basis, Wednesdays, Sundays, whatever days it was that y'all was patronizing this place, y'all allowed them to do what they wanted. And this is not placed here to make your people be in a better standing. It's for them. So I feel like, I don't know, like even with this show, I feel it's a great show amongst great people. And
Thank you.
it won't get as many views as if you was talking negative, or if you was speaking on the bullshit that's occurring in the neighborhood, or the hot topics.
Yeah.
Because that's not intriguing to the people at this point.
I think that it's all okay. Let me go back. Everything that you're saying is right, and I think that the best way to get away from, because a lot of our people have been taught a lot of bad habits to hinder us, right? So all of these systems exist: poverty, low income housing, broken school structures. It was all designed because it goes back into buying into an idea that you don't have enough to create for yourself. So like, if I could do anything differently, like if I created a new civil rights movement, or if I could go back and make some adjustments, I would not say that we don't need to connect with all ethnicities of people and we didn't need to connect with white people, because I believe in unconditional love. But I believe because of the severe hit that people of color took over the 500 years, I think that we needed time to recoup. And instead of recouping, and even Martin Luther King said it. If you watch Martin Luther King's last speech before he got assassinated, he said, I walk my people into a burning house. And he did. Because at the end of the day, before we could, connect with white people and get back into that kumbaya perspective, we had to heal. We had to rebuild. Everything was taken away. We were put in like a dire situation where we had to reconvince the world not to hate us, not to kill us, not to kill our kids, not to blow up churches. Like, they was doing some horrific stuff. So in the midst of all of that, I get it. Martin Luther King was a young man and he was pushing through adversity. So yeah, you're gonna make some mistakes, but at the end of the day, people of color didn't need to convince themselves that they needed to fit in into a world that was told to us that we didn't fit into. The color signs or you'll eat over here. So we bought into that idea. So instead of creating the Tulsa Oklahomans, which they got a good show, The Watchmen, when they show you like they bombed us, like they came and shot us up, like they was like, nah, this is not happening. But that all happened because of fear. You understand what I'm saying? Because they understand what we do. And if they would have kept that community, it would have just transpired into black people having those communities all over the United States where we never needed to connect. You understand what I'm saying? But they make their most money off us. You understand that? Not saying that because there's just as many white people in poverty as black people. But the bottom make the top, baby. If it ain't no bottom, it ain't no top. So if you want to go all the way to the top, to the trillionaires, to all the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs and the Apples and all that, somebody got to be buying this stuff.
Yeah, and so, we are. Why you think they putting everything here?
But
they putting everything here.
But that's what integration was about.
Right.
That's what integration was about because we had the finances. Yeah. They had the businesses, but we had the money. And they like, wait, if we don't let them come and spend their money here, we lose. Right. So we go and tell them, oh, no, we want y'all business. We're going to let y'all eat at the counter. And we thought that was our acceptance. So we went running to go and participate. And all that ended up doing was them taking the resources.
This is what happened when you put all your energy into connecting into the communities that never wanted you in the first place. Gentrification. And what happens is that you take all your money and all your energy and you go into that community where they looking at you and calling 911 every time you play the music loud, right? You go into that community and then you leave your community and you don't do nothing. You don't try to raise the property value. You don't try to fix the schools. You don't try to add programs. You just leave your community because I understand you want something better. But that's not how you get it. You don't get something better by trying to go fit in with the people that never wanted you in the first place. You get something better by creating it yourself. So imagine, like I said, if all the people that went to church every Sunday said, you know what? I'm gonna take the same tithes I give to God, I'm about to give to the community so we can rebuild schools. I'm about to create condominiums so that people of color could live. Because right now they paying mortgage prices to live in 1 and 2 bedroom apartments instead of actually having a mortgage. You understand what I'm saying?
Mortgage.
So I'm gonna put
mortgage
these young
and
black
a whole
people
bunch
that's
of
coming
other
out of
shit
college. I ain't gonna charge them $2,800 because we own 15 buildings. I'm gonna charge them $1,400 so that they can save them and get the house. You see, the game wasn't. You can't win a game that wasn't created for you.
That's right. Yeah.
So the Jesus, the religion, the school structures, the way it is. If you notice, the rich people don't send their kids there.
That's right.
They understand that they can't win in that game, so they play their own game. I'm sending my kid over here. Well, if I gotta pay $50,000 a year, my kid gonna go ahead, get the tools, and they gonna go out there and be a leader.
Because
right?
it's objectives that already trained you to be a follower. The objectives in the school is already it's already based upon you being a follower, a worker. It's not based upon you being a leader. Oh, running cool for life. You didn't learn that from the school. You didn't go to school and they told you, yeah, if you do this, if you purchase these machines and work like this, that you'll attain this amount of money. No, if you do this work right here, you'll work at this person's business and make them millions and millions of dollars. That's what the hell you will do.
For life.
Yeah, you will make somebody else cool for life. Shouldn't me?
But I totally agree with what he's saying because when I worked in the schools, I would bring that up with them too, and I would talk to all the young men and the young women, and I would say, y'all do realize that this school system is designed around making y'all either followers or prisoners. If you can't be a follower, it's going to make you a prisoner. They're going to jam you up enough. If you can't sit in that classroom long enough to just sit still and accept your enslavement, because that's what they're teaching you to accept. You're going to go to the principal's office. The principal's office is going to lead you to the police office. The police office is going to lead you to the precinct. The precinct is going to lead you down the road to being arrested for the rest of your life.
It's prison in itself.
This is why they put these police officers inside the schools now.
Right.
So we can start your kid off with
get them used to it. Get them used to it.
Early. So when they already 21, they already got a history. So when you get arrested for jumping the turnstile at 21, you already got a history behind you to get you locked up.
Right.
Absolutely.
Why should my kid be placed in a school where school safety, police, like, damn, what is this, Fort Knox?
Yeah.
If my kid doesn't adhere to something, or utilize it the way that the teacher wanted to be used, go to the principal's office, go to the dean's office, and go home, and don't come back until you've learned from it. That's prison. Yeah. That's prison. I had an argument with a girl the other day, and I'm like, she work as a school. She's a para, and she's like, yeah, I feel like these kids should get left back at 5 and 6 years old. And I'm like, what? Get left back for what? They didn't even find out who they are yet to be getting left back because they don't understand something.
Absolutely.
And then it's overcapacitated. You got 35 kids amongst one teacher in a para.
I'm gonna tell you the argument that I have and the problem that I have with that system, because it's not that there's something wrong with the kids. You're mad because you don't know how to teach each one of them individually. And teachers, because this is why I left the school system, they have these teachers that go to college, they get their paperwork. Half these teachers ain't even teaching what they studied. Yeah. They got you in there teaching English and you studied science. It ain't the same thing. Now you saying that these kids ain't learning, but what really the truth is you don't know how to teach these kids the way that they learn. You come into our communities where we learn hands-on and then try to stand at a board and tell me something and then don't get why I don't get it. And then hold me accountable because you can't do your job. And that's not a kid's fault. That's you not being able to be a great educator.
Okay. This conversation has been amazing, and I agree with everything that you're saying, Brennan. And all I can say to that is that keep in mind, people of color, that you're not going to win on the game that they created, whether it's religion, whether it's school, whether it's community. If you want to win, then you have to take it upon yourself to go out there and teach yourself the knowledge. You have to read books. You have to connect yourself with people. And you have to go out there and find like minds. And you have to go out there and manifest and create a better reality for yourself. The system that oppressed you and enslaved you, killed you, exploited you is not going to turn around and say, here's the tools and here's the knowledge so that you could go out there and create. Because what did I just say? They oppressed you and killed you. You watch movies like Avengers. Like, my man ain't turn around at the end like, yo, you know what? Here's the rings, man. Like, just go back and change the world. They had to kill my man and get the rings and change the world back. The system, the oppressive system, is never going to give you the keys. Like, yo, you know what? You right. We did wild out for 5 years. Here's all your gold and here's all your history back. It's never going to happen like that. So you're going to have to go out there and get it. You're going to have to take it. You're going to have the energy and the passion to want to find it. Just like the book, The Alchemist. And if you look hard enough, if you look deep enough, if you find it in your spirit, you will find it. I want to end this podcast with a little bit, for all my people that felt uncomfortable or, was probably watching this, was like, yo, what is he talking about? If it made you think outside the box, then it worked. At the end of the day, I'm not here to make you comfortable necessarily. I'm here to get you to be your best self. In order for you to be your best self, you have to be uncomfortable. You have to step outside your comfort zone. How I want to end this tonight, I have two dope people. Well, everybody here at the table is dope, but I can't sing or do poetry or rap or necessarily. My poetry is so. But I have two dope individuals that make a living off of rapping and doing poetry. So I want to take the next couple of minutes to give them both an opportunity to share their talents. We're going to start with ladies first, and then you can end it off with your dope stuff that you've been doing my whole life, all right? No problem. Let's get it going. What you got for me,
Thank you
Shinuah?
for having me.
Thank you. I appreciate you. This might not have been the best episode to talk about certain things, but I appreciate you for coming. That's the support. My homegirl was uncomfortable. She was looking to the side, but she came through. That's that unity and love we need. But let me get something real quick. Let me hear that divine voice you got.
Trying to level up these streets where I'm from. You got the bundle up. Don't get caught up. Don't shit where you eat is what the streets taught us. I got goals to reach, kinda hard to sit back. I got mouths to feed. And we all can eat, no need for no greed. Yeah, we all can eat. I've been working hard in these streets, yeah, grinding all my life. trying to beat a system that got us fucked up. Like we're not royal, don't they know who we are? System that got us fucked up. Like we're not royal, don't they know who we are?
Yo,
Hey,
This might have been a topic for a cool.
that's a fact,
The,
man.
the way the song went.
Come on, bro. We got a minute. Let me get something.
I can plan a picnic but won't predict the weather. And since I'm built for a storm, I don't need an umbrella. And I'm just big enough for us. We'll squeeze a couple kids in here if we huddled up. Nothing is something has been my motivation. Ignorance and poverty, I'm just the procreation. I want it all so there's no misappropriations. I'm like a doctor stripped of his license, no patience. I had a deep thought when I was sitting getting high. If death is imminent, am I really risking my life? If all I have to lose in this life is the life and for every breath in which I fight. So I'll do it for the nights when nobody loved them. So that you develop a hunger from your stomach's rumbling. Cause there's no success story if you ain't struggling. And you can't overcome the odds if you ain't under them. They'll say I took the ship and sailed away. I think I move faster without the dead weight. If they get out of the car, I just accelerate. It's power steering with no veering. You know I'm straight. The amputee, cut them off. No love is lost. That's the price of doing business. I can afford the cost. That's why I move with no love at all. They'd be surprised how small we are, standing tall. I wanted something so bad that I could taste it. Looked to the stands for a fan and they were vacant. The devil on my back screaming that I wouldn't make it. Then he whispered in my ear, take it. Thank you.
I watched Love Jones the other day, and I'm getting my Love Jones on right now. Listen, this is for the culture. This is episode 20. This is what young, gifted, and black look like. This is what black excellence look like. I appreciate everybody at this table. I love y'all unconditionally. Remember, you can do anything that you put your mind to as long as you believe so. If you're looking for it, you'll find it. My name is Kerrick Wise. I represent Cool for Life, Inc. We'll talk soon.